You know, when the job came open at the NEA, a lot of us spent a lot of time talking about what we hoped the new chair would look like. And we agreed on some key things. We said we hoped that person would have a big mind, that they'd have a grasp of realities, both artistic and political, and that they'd have a temperament that, especially considering that position can turn into a punching bag for competing political agendas, often divorced from reality and indifferent to rational response, had a temperament that can give as good as it got. And I think actually we found exactly the right person in Rocco. When you took the job, a lot of us looked at each other and said, why the hell would he want to do it? I think you've explained to us today why you did want it, and to that we can all say, thank God you did, because I think what you've shared with us has filled for many of us a sense of optimism about the future of the federal agency and renewed our faith in what the NEA will accomplish. So Rocco, thank you very much. We began Monday by dividing into small groups of between 15 and 35, to consider two questions. Assuming for a moment a healthy arts sector in 2020, what was it we did in 2009 to contribute to this health? What were our priorities in this work, and who were our allies? It's fallen to me to take in a quick, less than 10 minutes, an opportunity to try to sum up that response. And if Holly Sidford is here, Holly has been encouraging me to take a Quaalude before this performance, knowing my tendency for rapid-fire speech, but Holly, my disco days are long over. And so let me just say that we told you at the outset of that exercise that we hoped we'd accomplish three things in that. That we hoped in the short term we'd stimulate your imagination by making you privy to how others are thinking. That we'd help you by the way you were divided up, identify colleagues out of this sea of faces who shared comparable points of view and similar resource bases. And this would, by its very nature, overcome a sense of isolation that it's all too easy for us to feel in the field today. In the longer term, we said we'd do a more substantive analysis of this that would be shared with the members in the months to come, that would lead to more strategic alliances between the GIA and others, and that would set a collective agenda for all of us in 2010. With the greatest possible enthusiasm, in conditions ranging from frigid yet roomy spaces to a sweltering sardine can on the second floor, and to a series of rooms just on the other side of this paper-thin partition that made several groups feel that they were in the midst of a Wynton Marsalis warm-up and rehearsal, you all variously responded gamely to the challenges we put before you. And I have to say, as someone who visited all 10 rooms, the conversations in every room were consistently earnest, respectful, and generous. I was especially struck in every case by the graciousness shown to one another, the way people eschewed long speeches and oratory, no one was hogging the floor. I was struck by the seriousness of the topic as reflected in the frequent furrowed brow and, frankly, the general absence of a lot of laughter. I was struck by the lank of angst over the economy. The panic of just a year ago has gone, and clearly in every room there was a sense of, well, this is what it is, and let's get down to it. And yet, in every room as well, and especially fitting for what Rocco just said to us, there was an overriding sense of optimism. Optimism for the arts, optimism for artists, optimism for our society, and optimism for the role we can play. In this optimism as well, in every room, I thought I felt the beginning of a stronger sense of community than perhaps I've ever felt in these gatherings before. Community marked not merely by professional affiliation, but community marked by that dynamic that Ronnie Brooks has once described as community, a place where people can bring their gifts to the table and they are valued. All of your conversations yielded numerous flip charts, voluminous group notes, and per many of your requests, each group note batch will be made available to those participants, so you will be getting those as many of you wanted. And indeed, individual sheets where you were each asked to write down answers to questions, in many cases taking pages to do so. Sheets that listed more than 720 pieces of paper from the more than 240 of you who participated. Frankly, information that was far too extensive and too rich for us to digest for you today. Indeed, I would say to you that the diversity and the range of the responses that we thought we saw in those sheets is a huge cause for celebration. It's a strength of our field as grant makers that there is a diversity of opinions, beliefs, and convictions. That said, what I've been asked to share this morning, perhaps as a result, is a first gleaning of those notes, a surface capture of what most obviously resonated in every room, so you'd have the sense of what was going on in the other 9, as seen by GIA Executive Director Janet Brown, Holly Sidford, Bill Cleveland, and Tina Burdett.